And there's been a lot going on.
Yes.
There's been a lot going on just in the world, but I just went through something. You secretly just went through something rad, and was part of this whole thing since January that shocked the world with our friend Adam, who had emotionally shocked the world with a return to the WWE, which was great. And you're, the whole time putting the podcast together, you and I are texting back and forth, old school wrestling fans like, oh, what'd you think of this? And what'd you think of that? And you're like, yeah. And then like, there's no way Adam's ever going to make it. And it was great. One of the things, we'll get into that. But one of the things he touched on when he was talking about it was the element of surprise. And I was so happy I didn't know. So it was just fun that you got to be a part of that. And I'm sure
that was probably the hardest thing, because I knew, I knew when he got cleared not too long after he found out. And if if anybody's watching that has the WWE Network or doesn't know what we're talking about, there's a documentary that they put out on our buddy Adam Edge, WWE guy. And in the documentary, it talks about how he went to Pittsburgh to see the doctor and got the all clear. So back in September, like early September last year, I was on my way to a conference in Toronto, and Adam called me, and he's like, hey buddy. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And it was kind of a little out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
I think it was a Saturday morning. It might've been a Saturday morning. And, and he's like, hey, so I got some news. And as I'm getting the news, I'm driving down into a parking garage, and I'm like, hold that news. I'm going to lose you. I'm going to lose you. And as soon as, he's like, okay. So I'm like trying to call him back, and like, I'm not getting through because he's got this call answer service. And then I finally get through. And that's when he told me, he's like, buddy, you're not going to believe this, but I'm cleared. And I'm like, what? So I've known since September, and it was one of those, it was like, the circle of surprise, and it was
amazing. It was,
we're talking about it, and it's like,
I loved not knowing. And again, people just joining this. I mean, you don't have to be a wrestling fan to appreciate this story. You have to just be a fan of somebody with a dream and a goal that had it taken away from them, and then they had to fight and claw back to get it with support of all the amazing people around them. Yeah. That's a life cast story, by the way.
Oh yeah.
That was already told. And so I guess I've lost that, but anyway, it was just a funny thing that, like, you don't need to be a wrestling fan. So, to people listening, backing it up a little bit, which we'll get into Mike and I's history, but one of the things that Adam touched on was being away from the ring for 9 years.
Yeah. And
having that ability to surprise somebody for once, because you can't really surprise anybody anymore with anything. So the great thing about it is that whereas I was like, all right, great, Mike, you knew since September, and you kept it totally under wraps, which is your job to do. And I love the fact that you didn't let the cat out of the bag. And I love the fact that Adam didn't let the cat out of the bag, because whereas you knew in September that he was coming back, and the rest of the world had heard rumblings that he was coming back, you didn't get to experience me sitting on the couch at 21 going, wow.
Yeah.
Because it was super emotional, like, as a human being. This had nothing to do with wrestling and the emotion of this. I was watching him come out and then walk to the ring, basically emotionally walking to the ring.
Yeah.
But you could tell by his face, my son's face was like, what? And like, I was like, oh my God, look at this. Like, I just couldn't believe that he was able to pull it off. And then hearing all the backstory, it was just really great. And so, whereas you had this amazing, you're in from September on, and you're there for the whole journey, which have been, which is awesome. But on the flip side, I'm also like so happy that by the time I got to 21, I was like,
still a surprise.
What's going on? So it was really cool.
Well, and that was, I mean, it was cool to find out, and then to sort of see and hear the steps leading up to Royal Rumble. and then to be there in Houston for when he came out. And
Yeah.
again, we knew he was coming out. They were filming some stuff. They wanted to
Sure.
get some reaction.
I saw you react on there. It was
Which
funny.
is hilarious because my wife Carolyn, she was watching the documentary with me last night after Mania
Yeah.
Day 2, and she goes, "What's that? What's that you call people that are like super fans that are really nerdy into wrestling?" I'm going, "Mark." She goes, "Yeah, who's that, Mark?" And I'm like, but still,
hey.
it was a really cool, exciting, because it's anticipation. You knew it's coming, and then the music hits, and I still say he has the best music since Hulk Hogan's Real American. It's the best entrance music.
I think you're right, and
Alter Bridge probably loves him for that, because I think
it was funny because I'd sent him a message before all this madness went out, before all the COVID and stuff. I was like, man, it's gonna be hopefully, wouldn't it be great to see Alter Bridge play out? And he sends me a text back going, "Do you really think you'd be ahead of me on this?" And I'm like, "No, I just think it would be great." And I had just seen Alter Bridge like a couple weeks ago in Birmingham, so it was awesome and they're playing Metalingus. And for those of you who don't know, Alter Bridge is a rock band that provides Adam's Edge's music, and it really is an amazing entrance. It really is an amazing entrance.
It suits him to a T. And if you ever get him on the podcast, get him to tell you the story about how Mark Tremonti basically introduced the song to him in sort of like rough demo form originally. It's a really cool story. And I think because I think Adam mentioned that it's probably their most popular single, and it was never released. So
no, and they have to play it all the time. It's really, really funny. And then it's odd to hear them play. I got to tell you, it's actually odd to kind of hear them play it live. It's sort of like any band that has like a song on a soundtrack, maybe, or they have a song like, even like I heard like Motorhead was playing Triple H's music live, and I'm like, it just feels weird. It's like, I know like it feel like it should be like, I know they wrote it and it's theirs and it's on their like first record or second record, but on the flip side, it's like, man, it's Adams now. So it was just funny to see.
I feel bad for Miles Kennedy having to sing that, because it is not an easy song to sing, and that dude can shred like nobody vocally.
Well, I'm sure they were looking forward to WrestleMania. Maybe it'll happen at SummerSlam. But
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. But or next year in LA, which is only an hour and a half, 2 hours south of me. So
true. You're a little closer.
Fingers crossed. Maybe we'll go.
Thanks for stopping by, friends, to the Brenton on Tour podcast channel on YouTube. Coffee, music, travel, life, all of those things. One page, lots of guests, lots of chatter. We talk about all of it. If you like it, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment. I'll get back to you. Thanks, friends. See you next time.